Hi everybody. I just wanted to film a short intro to this video. All of my crochet lessons I'm dedicating to two women that we lost far too soon. My very special friend, longtime friend, and really sister, Lady Hawk Smith, who passed away last November, so it's been a year. We had a business together called Blue Roo Creations, where we sold crocheted items, quilted items, forged items. Her husband was a blacksmith, and they brain tanned deer hides, and she was a beater. And she was, as you recall, she was 3/4 Cherokee. She was amazingly talented. She could crochet just as well as I can, probably better. And she made homemade soaps, and I'll miss her so bad. I miss her every day. And when I started these crochet lessons, I decided to take a break and do something creative and show somebody else how to do something creative. I thought of Melanie Ham, who this community lost far too soon, 36 years old last year, and she's been gone she's been gone since I think January of this year, so it'll be almost a year. Apt to teach, giving of her time, generous to a fault. I didn't know her personally, but I had watched her for many years. I think 7 years I had watched her. I learned so much from Melanie. A lot of the things that I've learned from Melanie Ham. And I'm grateful to her husband for leaving up her channel. So these crochet lessons are dedicated to those two wonderful women that we lost far too soon. And I think about both of them almost every day. I can't, not a day goes by I don't think of Lady Hawk. Because on my wall is this beautiful beaded portrait of my rooster Suede that she loves so much, on brain tan hide that she did with feathers hanging off of it that I know I've showed you before, from our birds, from Suede and from her Hector, that my Hector was named after. So anyway, this is going to be a slouchy hat. This is a project for a rank beginner. It only involves a single crochet and a variation of the single crochet stitch. It does not involve crocheting in the round. This is the easiest hat you are going to make, I'm telling you, and it doesn't look easy. Because of the variation of the single stitch, you're going to get a texture to it too. So you're going to learn not only how to make a hat, but how to create texture in your projects. And you can create this texture in anything that you do with this method. And so I don't want to keep this intro too long. I'm going to show you a little swatch. I'm going to do a little swatch as an example of the stitches that you're going to use, and then I'm going to tell you the instructions, and I'm going to show you how it goes step by step. So without further ado, let's get into this. Hi everybody, I'm going to start by doing a sample to show you the stitches you're going to be doing in this project so that you can easily do it. We're going to do the slip stitch here to get started on our crochet. I'm using the 6.5 millimeter hook that was mentioned in the video at the beginning. Okay, I'm just going to chain enough to do a sample that's long enough for you to see. Okay, we're just chaining here. Okay, I just want to get about I don't know, 5 or 6 inches so I can tell you what you can do here. Well, let's see, I don't want it too long because I don't want to take up too much time showing the sample. Okay, so there you go, there's a little starting chain. Okay, next thing we need to do is we're going to do a row of single crochet. So we're going to go not in the first thing that this chain is coming out of, but the next one. Okay, insert your hook into the next chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. That's the first single crochet. Next one, and we're going to just do this all the way down, just like I showed you on the other video. this is going to show you the stitches that you're going to need to do to make this absolutely adorable slouchy hat. Okay, I got to get my yarn loosened up here. Sorry. And when your yarn is pulling back from the skein it's pulling on it, it's going to tighten it from the other end, even if you're trying to be loose. So just need to make sure it's coming out of the skein, gliding easily. But anyway, here we go. Okay, what you're going to do is we're going to do 2 rows of single crochets first, and then I'm going to show you a variation on the single crochet where that stitch is going to create texture in your project, and you're going to love that. It is so easy. This is the easiest hat on the planet. No circle required. Okay, and in the last chain, the end, we've got our first row. It's going to twist on you when it's this little. First row of single crochet. We're going to chain 1, turn your work, go back the other direction, and then I'll show you the other stitch where the magic really happens. Okay, so single crochets all the way back down, and if you recall, you see the V's here? You see the V's at the top of the stitch? Just go under both of those, and then grab your yarn back here, pull it through, and then yarn. There you go. See, there's single crochets, super easy. You can do anything if you know how to do a single crochet. It just takes longer to make it of any size, but this is going to have the texture that you are going to love. And if you're a rank beginner, this is a good project for you. It does uses two stitches plus just the basic slip stitch to connect things is all it does. Okay, so we're finishing up our second row of single crochet. If my fingers are not going to go rogue on me. And remember the last one here, this one sometimes is hard to do. Turn it over a little bit because it tends to turn backwards at this end. Make sure that you're getting under both of those top, you can let that go, under both these top ones. See, this is the last V, but it kind of hides because it turns backwards. There we go. Okay, the last single crochet, chain 1. Now here's where we're going to show you the variation that's going to make texture in this project. Oh, let me see if I can make this. I don't know, I better not move the camera. It's been interesting doing camera work today. Okay, now I told you this was going to be a variation on the single crochet, and the variation is, instead of going in both loops like we've been doing, instead of going into 2 loops, you actually go into the back loop only. See, if you look from the top, you see this stitch, these 2 stitches that make the V. Come on, focus. Okay. There's 2 stitches that make the V. What you're going to do is you're going to go in the back loop only. You're going to not go under that one. You're going to go only under the one in the back. This one on my left side here. Go under the back and just do a regular single crochet, but through the back loop only. This is what's just called back loop only. There's some patterns that call for front loop only in certain sections. But this is, you do the single crochets down this row into the back loop only of the stitch on the previous row. Come on, yarn, let go. Okay, so remember, normally a single would go under both of these, but this is going to go under only the back loop. So you put your hook into the middle of that V and pull up that back, go under the back loop and pull your yarn under that back loop only. Now I'll show you, it's going to be interesting what you're going to notice, why this is going to create texture. And we're going to do 2 rows of this. I'm going to do 2 rows of this thing. Let me pull this camera over here just a hair. There we go. Keep going off center here. I don't have the equipment, a lot of people do. Okay, go under the back loop only. Grab your yarn, pull through that back loop, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. It's a single crochet, but in back loop only. It's the same stitch, you're just not going under both of those posts of the V, you're going under the back loop. And the back loop, of course, is just this one back here, not in the front, but in the back. Okay, back loop only. Okay. Okay. And don't forget this last one. There is a last one here. There's another one here at the very end that needs to go in there. And sometimes it's hard to see that. It's easy to miss that particular one. But you can't miss it. Okay. So you already see what this is doing. Do you see this ridge here? Do you see this ridge? You're already getting texture here. Now, you're going to chain 1 like you always do and turn your work over and do the same thing on the next row. Back loop only. Back loop, no, see, put your hook between the posts of the V, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. You're going to do another row of back loop only single crochet. I'm going to go ahead and speed through this. Hope that shows you well enough. And then I'm going to show you the piece I've already gotten started well. I've already gotten that started. This is supposed to be 15 inches. When you start this, what you're going to do is you're going to do just what I did. 2 rows of single, 2 rows of back loop single, 2 rows of single, 2 rows back loop single. And you're going to, when you do your chain, you're going to chain up to 15 inches. And you can use a measure, you can use a measuring tape, you can use a ruler, whatever. You're going to do a 15-inch chain. You don't have to count your chains, you just have to make sure that the chain you make is 15 inches to start with. Okay, back loop only. Okay, okay, so we've got our back loop only. And it's got, see, it's texture on that side, texture on that side. It makes this little ridge. Makes very interesting hats. Now, 2 rows of single. So here's your instructions so far. A foundation chain of 15 inches, 2 rows of single crochets, 2 rows of single crochet back loop only. And you alternate 2 of each, 2 rows of single, 2 rows of back loop, 2 rows of back loop single crochets. Now, when you start doing that, you're going to wonder, how far do I make this? How far do I go? How far you go depends on the size hat you're going to make. I'm making mine 21 inches. That is the size of a teen to small adult. I have a small head. My head's 22 inches circumference, but my other measurements, ear to ear and hairline to nape, are basically they're less than petite. So I'm going to make my hat 15 inches this way, and then keep going until you have a 21 inch. If you're my size, if you're a regular adult or a man, you would make it 23 inches. And I will put up, there'll be measurements for children too. I can even link you to the PDF of this pattern. So stay tuned, and I'll show you the progress I've made on the hat, and I think you'll like this project. Stay tuned, stay tuned. Okay, here is the sample I've got. This is the 15 inches long right here, 15 inches. Okay, this little thing is a placeholder. Actually, what this one is a band, a leg band for chickens, for breeding groups. You have color coordinated bands, and they're just like the ones they sell for crochet. They just have little pointed ends on here, and I don't do that kind of breeding stuff anymore, so I have loops from my chicken breeding days that work great for crochet placeholders, and it keeps it from unraveling. So this is my sample. You see the texture in here? See this texture? I'm going to finish this, and how long you go depends on the size of the hat. Hey everybody. Okay, I've got my panel done for the hat. You can see I've got it closed off. I left a very long tail. And you can see the texture on this. Do you see this texture? This is going to make a really cool hat. Now let me tell you something. This is not perfect, okay? And yours is not going to be perfect either, most likely, unless you're just much better crocheter than me. But even if it's not exactly perfect, what you can do, because you sit there and you do this, took a while to do this panel, and you do it. I did it on different days. I sat watching television. You know, things were just a little different. And I know I know I did something wrong where I was distracted and I put two back loop only things too close together. I didn't pay attention. But when you do this, it's not going to matter. So watch what we do here. We got this panel. The sizes were already in the description box and in the video, the first part of the video. So what we want to do is we're going to fold this in half, okay? And I'm going to take my little stitch marker out of here. Let me get the stitch marker out of here. And I'm going to pull this yarn all the way through, and I'm going to tie it tight, okay? Now, your edges should be fairly even. But the edge that matters is going to be this edge here. Because what we're going to do is we're going to use our yarn needle, and we're going to slip stitch all the way down this row. I know you're going, how's this a hat? Well, stay tuned, because it's going to be a hat. So let me thread my yarn needle here. This is really the easiest thing. It's tedious in a way because it just takes a while to get this panel made, and I know you're going to be in a rush. I'm always the I've got to get it done yesterday kind of person. But let's do this, okay? Now you're going to try to, you got these edges and you got your yarn needle here. Okay, you got your threaded yarn needle. You're going to try to match these stitches across from each other as much as possible. Now you may have ended up with more stitches on one side than the other. If so, you can double up. If you find out that's the case, you can always double up. But what we're going to do is I'm going to take it from this side here. I'm going to just go through the other side, try not to pick up my yarn. I'm going to pull it through. Oh, I need to get this tail fixed here. There we go. Put my needle near the end. I think my tail's a little long, but better to cut too much yarn than not enough, okay? And then we're going to go, this is the starting chain right here. You're going to go under the loop of the starting chain and across the road here to the other side, and you're going to pull through. And you're going to just go the next one. Nah, get out of the way. Next one, and go to the one across from it. See, across from it. This is a starting chain, so you're really only going under one loop over here, and that's okay, because that's the bottom of the starting chain. And you're just going to do this all the way down to the other end. And it's going to actually make sort of a little ridge that kind of looks like what happens in the texture of the back loop only single crochet in a way. Okay, so you go on that side, go the next one, go underneath, and you just go. Oops, I got the yarn caught on one of the little fasteners on my stand here. Okay, and you're just going to go back and forth and back and forth. Is that for the next one? And you're going to do this all the way down. Okay, we are about down here, and then I'm going to show you how to close up this hat. And we'll have you something you can wear. I'm sitting out here because it is the last warm day. It's raining because of the, I see there's a stitch there. I think I have an extra stitch somewhere. It's raining out here because of Hurricane Nicole. We always get the outer bands of these things up here in the North Georgia mountains. But the temperature is going to drop like a stone, and I can sit out here and finish this today. But tomorrow, not so comfortable, let me just say. Okay, now we're at the very, very end down here. Okay, now, all right. Now this is the tail of the starting chain where we began. Okay, now what we've got here, you see, is a tube. You see this? Now what we're going to do here to close up our hat, it's going to cinch in. Do you see this? It's going to cinch in like this, and the edge is going to fold up like that, and you're going to have your brim. So, now you could turn this the other direction. See, on this outside you have the seam where you did the slip stitch. You could literally turn this like this, turn it inside out, so that you don't have that showing. Now that's up to you. That doesn't matter. But if you keep it right side out, like it was, with that little ridge from the slip stitch row showing, all it does is look like a back loop only single crochet. It just kind of looks like one of the ridges. So it's up to you. That's your preference. It doesn't really matter. It's not going to make a difference, okay? So I'm going to make sure that this is secure where this end comes together right here. And I'll sew this tail in later. This is what we're going to do. We're going to start, in fact, you could do this. This is what I often do. I often just tie that beginning chain tail right there to that. And then we start weaving right here as close to the edge as possible. Just weave in and out. Okay? Just weave in and out. We're going to go all the way around this edge, weaving in and out of these stitches here. Just try to split your yarn, and I'll show you how this works. It is super easy. What do you think? Do you think this was easy so far? I mean, you may have had your, if you're brand new to crochet, you may have had to redo your rows. It may have started getting to be a wonky shape instead of a rectangle. That happens even to experienced crocheters who are not paying attention, like me sometimes. But we're going to go all the way around this, all the way around this whole edge here, okay? So this is going to take just a second. I hope I have enough yarn here. I hope I left enough yarn. If I didn't, I can always, that'll be another lesson. I can always just attach another piece of yarn to the one I have, just knot up them together and add to the tail. So, you know, you can make mistakes, but you know, they're usually pretty correctable with crochet. Don't beat yourself up if you made a mistake. Sometimes those mistakes end up to be happy accidents. I've had accidents that were happy and not so happy. Let me tell you. Okay, so we're still doing this, and you can see, look at this. You see that? You're going to be cinching in. Okay. Oopsie, make sure that we are in and out here. Really good. Oopsie, come on now. Being blind is not any fun. Let me tell you. Our poor cat's figured that out. Okay. But he's adjusting. He's doing pretty good, actually. Okay, so here we go. So in and out, in and out, in and out. Okay. We're getting close. Okay. I'm going to pull it to make sure I have enough yarn to get all the way around. This is really not bad. It's really an easy project. It just takes a little while. If you're one of the people who can't sit down and you have to rush through everything, you can't really rush through making this long rectangle. Now, if you're making a little preemie hat or a newborn hat or a toddler hat, it's not going to take you as long because you don't have to make as large a rectangle. I'm making one for a teen or small adult. So, of course, it took a lot longer than making one for a child. Oh, these are great hats for kids. They're so warm. Okay. Okay, so here's our beginning tail right here. See, we're almost there. Almost there, almost there, okay? And I'm going to show you what we're going to do when we get here, okay? Now, okay. Now we're back to the beginning, okay? I'm going to pull this in some. Let me get this here, okay? I'm going to pull this in, cinch this in. Now we're not quite done yet. Let me get his tail out of the way. We're not quite done yet. What we need to do is we need to go across, okay? We need to not just cinch it in, but we're going to take it and we're going to stabilize it even further. We're going to go across the aisle here. See, right across the hole, across the cinched in area. Just pick any place. You're just going from one side to the other. Okay. In fact, I think I'm going to take this little tail and I'm going to stick it inside the hat. And I'll show you. We're going to go inside the hat in a minute to finish this off. But let me show you this, okay? Okay, we're going to go inside here. And this is where it gets tricky, not picking up your yarn. Okay. Okay. So there's that. And go like this. So go back and forth one direction, then you're going to go the other direction. You're going to go from one side to the other, and then you're going to go from the other side to the other. You'll see what I mean. Okay. It doesn't have to be every single stitch here. This way. Okay, so we got this where it's cinched in back over here. I'm going to go through here. Okay. And I'm going to just kind of weave in and out across the bridge I just kind of sewed here to get to the other side. Sort of going across the bridge. Okay. And we got to make sure that we sew this over here across the end. So you've still got kind of a hole here. See the little gap. You just want to close up all the gaps at the top. Okay. And weave in and out across. Just make sure, I mean, there's no particular place to weave in and out. You're just going to close up all these areas and pull them together. And if there's any gap, okay, you're going to pull that in and go across here and grab this. Whoopsie. It gets a little tricky at the end because you didn't get where you can't see what you're doing. Okay. I'm going to go back across here. Okay. Okay. And you just want to pull it so that you have this whole end cinched in really good. And then we're going to do something else. Okay. Ah, goodness, don't do that. All right. Now, this is not going to be really tight yet. The way you're going to make it tight, you're going to put your hand up in the hat, and you're going to put this needle down through the center up here, and you're going to grab your needle from the inside You're going to pull it through and hold on to it. Then you're going to turn your hat inside out. Turn your hat inside out here. Pull that tight. And there you got your little tail in there, so you could actually tie that tail of the starting chain together with this. Just keep tying that. Tie it a few times so it doesn't come undone. Go. And you can even do some more stitching in here in this top. Let's see, do you have any holes in there? You might want to, let me see if I can make sure that we've got all the stuff stitched together. I want to make sure that goes across there and stitches everything together. And you just quit whenever you feel that your hat, this end is secure enough, okay? And then I still have a tail here. I'm going to do this again. And I'm going to show you how to make something else to go with this to finish it off, okay? Hopefully it's not going to take too long. I may have to edit this video. We'll see. Okay. So I'm going to tie it a few times. And we're going to cut this off here now. Just cut these short right there. Couldn't find my scissor sharpener. Okay, now I'm going to pull it back right side out. You're going to roll up your brim. Now this may be even too big for me, but we'll have to see. This is a very roomy hat. I would say if you use a pretty stretchy yarn, I would say make this on the lowest side, the lowest size you think you can get away with. But we've got a hat here. You could put a single crochet stitch around this whole edge. You just basically attach your yarn and go all the way around if you want a really finished edge. Now let me show you how to make this pom-pom, okay? You can make your own pom-pom. Alright? This is all that I had left from that big skein of yarn. This is it. So, alright. This is how to make a pom-pom. Now I'm not really good at this. They have pom-pom makers. Little plastic things that you put the yarn in and do something with it. I don't know how to use those. I couldn't tell you. But we're going to try this, okay? Get you some yarn. You could do a contrasting color, whatever. Red Heart Super Saver is a really kind of a scratchy acrylic. It makes a really good pom-pom because it's stiff and it clings to itself. But this is a little softer, but this is Red Heart with Love, in case you forgot. We're going to hold this like this. And, excuse my fingernails, they're always in bad shape. Can't ever get the dirt from under my fingernails on this farm, but I tried, but it just doesn't work. Okay, you're going to take this, and you're going to start wrapping this yarn, and you're going to hold this tail aside, because you don't want it to get lost in there. Now, I may have to keep pulling this out, because, okay, you don't want to do it too loose, but you want to do it tight enough so it just doesn't fall off your fingers. Just keep wrapping. I'm going to have to do this here. I better hold this down here so I can kind of pull it out as needed. Okay? You're just going to do this. Hang on. You're going to make just a ball like this. You keep wrapping and wrapping and wrapping till you have a really thick bunch of yarn on your hand here. I should have just got the regular skein. It would pull out without me having to pull it out. I have another partial skein. I haven't rolled into a ball yet. Yes, okay. You're just wrapping. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I should have done that. Okay. I'm going to take, hopefully this will be about a 2-inch one, but let's just see. Let's just do this. Okay. Now you don't have to put a pom-pom on this. I just think it's cute, and I think it actually kind of finishes off the end. And if you're doing it for a child, they love that. So, okay, we're just doing this here. I'm going to make a fat pom-pom if I can. I keep moving my hand off the camera because I've got the yarn stuck down here, holding it with my legs, and I'm trying to pull this out of here. I don't want to pull back on me too hard. Okay. Okay, I think this is probably enough. You see it's kind of thick here. See that thickness? Okay, what we're gonna do, hold this out here. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this a little bit here. Just cut that right there. Okay, put this other yarn aside. All right, now I'm gonna take this, carefully pull it off your hands, okay? All right, carefully pull it off your hand, okay? And sit it right here. You see this? See how this is doing, okay? Let me get another piece of yarn here, okay? Now, I may have to get another piece of yarn cut, but I'm going to sit this down here. I'm going to kind of get the middle here, as much as in the middle as you can. You're going to tie a piece of yarn around the center of this bunch that you roped around your hand. Okay, see if it's pretty much, see if you can get it pretty much centered between this end and the other end. Okay, and then you pull it tight. Okay, hold that down really good. And well, if I can tie a knot, it would be nice. It's easier if you have somebody else to hold it. But do like this. I'm fumble-fisted, I told you that. Okay, do that. Usually I take this around. Don't get this tail in the way or this in the way. Make sure you're going right in the middle here. Both of the other side. If you're going to pull it back around, you don't want to put your loop under there. Get your loops stuck. Just tie it up real good. Tie this up real good. Really well. Real good. Casual English here. Tie this real well. Well, if my fingers will work today. Oh my goodness. Okay, so. Alright. You want to make sure that you've got this tied really well, because think about you putting this in the wash, okay? You know it stresses these things out if you put them in the wash, okay? Now, this is what you've got here, alright? Now, the first thing you want to do is you start, sorry about that, cutting. Had to go get some real scissors. Alright. Now, where were we? Okay. We want to start going in here and cutting these loops that you made around your hand. So to make sure you've cut all of them. Okay, and there'll be a shorter layer. Just make sure that you're cutting all of these loops here. If you missed one, go back in there and get it. Yeah. Okay. Now this can get a little messy. This acrylic yarn you'll get pieces of it everywhere. See, I got that one there. You'll get pieces everywhere, and so just if that bothers you, if little fuzzies everywhere bothers you, you might want to do it over a piece of paper or something you could sweep off with your hand. Let's see, what do we have? Do we have any? Yes, we got a couple of loops that are shorties that didn't cut. Okay. Okay, so we were trying to get these. Okay. Alright, let's see. Now I want to leave the tail that I started with. I want to leave this open here. Oopsie, what's that? Hang on just a minute. That's not what I thought it was. Oopsie. What is that? Okay. I don't know if this is tight enough. You know, if it's not tight enough, it's going to probably come apart in your wash. But what you do is you do this, and then you want to give it a haircut. Now you can always put another, it's a little harder to do it at the end, but you can always put another strand here to stabilize it. So, let me show you. If you want to make these even, pretty even, you need to give this a haircut, because this is kind of going to end up being a little bit, I'll leave one long enough to put through the hat, but I'll show you what I'm talking about in a minute. Give them a little bit of a haircut. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so Okay. So as you got it pretty much as good as you want it. You know, it can be uneven. It doesn't have to be even all the way around. There's no rule. Okay. So take your yarn needle right here. In fact, I did something that makes it a little bit harder, but okay, let me see. Take your yarn needle, put it through the part of the end of the strand of yarn that you tied across the middle of this, and go down into your hat. Bring that down into the hat. Okay. Down into your hat. And look what you've got. Let me see if I can get this up here. Look what you've got here. Look at this. Look at your hat. And be very proud of yourself that you just did that. So all you got to do is turn that inside out and sew that in there, just like you sew everything else on this end, going in and out. Just sew it to the end of your hat. Just run this yarn needle through here and tighten a knot. I didn't leave me a strand that was really long enough, but I can always do something else. Yep, see? In and out through here, in and out, just in and out and in and out until you've secured it well enough, and tighten a knot. You can even add another piece of yarn if you want to, and see if I can get that through there. Okay. It's getting a little bit tight there. Yikes, my yarn needle's kind of fat. Okay, I think I'm not going to go through that spot right there. If you can't go through one spot, pull it out and go through a different one, just like that, okay? And you would tie this, you can tie this off in a knot if you want to. I'm not very coordinated with my hands anymore, but I'll show you that later. But anyway, so this one is a little bit of a longer tail. I think this was the other end of that tail that I had. Okay, and you want to fluff this up. I mean, you can make this thicker. For time's sake, I just made a fairly small pom-pom. So there you go, people. Aren't you proud of yourself? Look what you did. Look what you did. Look what you did. Look what you did. And there you go. An easy slouchy hat. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you make one. Let me know if you do. Bye.